But one of the things that I know about leadership is it is dynamic. And dynamic by virtue means what? It's constantly changing. You know, and as leaders, that's probably the most important thing we need to realize is not only do leaders last, but we've got to be constantly adapting to the environment that we're in, constantly shaping and reshaping our psychology to be able to adapt to the changing conditions. Because the moment we become fixed in our mindset, guess what happens? You break. Because things that are fixed don't flex. And when there is pressure that is put on things that don't flex, what ultimately happens when it gets to a point where there's too much pressure? They snap. And one of the reasons that people snap in business, one of the reasons that people lose their edge in business is because they're not flexible. They're not adaptable. They think it's my way or the highway. And we must understand, in order to lead at the highest level, you know, it's about having strength, yes. But it's about having the greatest level of strength with the greatest level of adaptability combined so that you can become like these Californian redwoods. Has anyone seen the Californian redwoods? These enormous fucking trees. They're enormous. But one of the things, what's interesting about these enormous trees is, do you know what is one of the most important environmental factors that develops these trees? Strong wind. That is constantly blowing them back and forth, that is creating these little micro fractures within the fibers of the tree. Because when the trees blow back and forth, and the trees don't break, they fracture. And there's all these little micro fractures happening up and down the trunk. And do you know what the tree does as a natural consequence of these little fractures? They heal stronger. It sends resources to those little fractures, okay, to fill out, to become even stronger, but at the same time maintaining high levels of flexibility. You know, when a bone breaks, and this is what's really interesting, when a bone breaks, what happens to the area of that break? It gets stronger. So by virtue of being leaders, we have to be adaptable, but we also need to be willing to understand that every now and then we're all going to break. Every now and then we're all going to snap. And for some of us, it's going to be a little break. And for others, it's going to be a total fucking shattering. But what we must understand is whether you're, having micro breaks or you're having massive breaks, the consequence of breaking down, the consequences of those little fractures is what? Strength.